All right, Vossy, congratulations, mate. How do you reflect on what you've been able to achieve in sealing the minor premiership last night?
Yeah, it's certainly a really nice reward. It's a season that has had plenty of challenges. It's asked lots of questions. It's thrown up a lot of variables. So many intangibles that have gone into this year in terms of performances, with short breaks and when you're playing and when you're not playing, and so to be able to get our way through that and still find ourselves at the top of the ladder, speaks to the resilience of the group. The level of consistency they've had has been really impressive. And like everybody, we've had our down moments. But in those down moments, we've still found ways to actually win games of footy when traditionally we would lose them. So, so it's, when you put that all together, it's nice to be at the end and sit on top of the ladder from the start of the season to the end, and the boys get the reward for another really good night last night.
Is there a sense of, there's clearly more business to come? While last night was great, it's clearly not the be all and end all. How determined and how much do you get the sense that the drive towards the premiership, the focus starts now for you?
Well, it probably does start about now. I think the guys, even ahead of this game, we're pretty keen to look after what we needed to do and sort of look at that as a bit of a milestone for us, and worry about tomorrow, when it comes. And I think that attitude's been, really synonymous with the group for the whole year. And so I'm sure they'll get their rest now. We'll have a couple of days where we'll spend some time away from the club, and when we get back, we can fix our eyes on Geelong.
Do you feel like you deserve some recognition from the entire, football community around Australia now, given what you've achieved?
I think we are getting some recognition, I must say. I think when you can go through with the level of consistency that we've had, certainly at clubland, you'd like to think that there's plenty of attention given to the way that we're playing. That's not up for us to determine. In the end, respect comes from getting the job done at the right time of the year, and this has been one part of the season. As I said, we've probably proven to be the most consistent, but yet we haven't proven to be the best yet, and that's what the next season is. And that's that job that we've got next, and we're competing against a set of teams that have been involved in finals and quite rightly have got the job done, on the big occasion, and we haven't had that exposure yet. So understandably there's some unknown about that, but we lean on the confidence of what we've been able to overcome in games, and when the pressures come, we've been able to stand up. When moments have been asked, we've been able to get it done. So we've got a body of work now that we can lean on that will hold us in good stead in the next month.
Do you allow yourselves for a short while to enjoy what you have achieved, or are you straight into business at the final?
Oh no, it was really important. I think that, again, the little things that we've enjoyed, the small wins, the little moments. We've set important milestones for us. We haven't been afraid to be able to put the top of the table on the agenda, and we've had those conversations and talked about what that looks like. But at the same time, we've sort of taken the time to enjoy those moments. We did last night. The fortunate thing of being away together was we got to spend the night together and have a couple of drinks and have a few laughs, and now we'll have a couple of days break and get our minds and bodies ready for what's coming.
Yeah, Ricky Creek Hotel or Story Bridge? Or?
No, we didn't get any of those venues. It was just a nice little conference room where we kept social distancing.
Have you ever really seen anything like, you touched on it before, we were talking about how the people on the outside perhaps don't rate forward as much as you guys do on the inside. Have you ever seen anything like that before, where you've had a team that has sat on top for an entire year, beaten some good teams along the way, and you've got to this point now, you're not even favourites to win your own home qualifying final?
It's not for me to determine. I guess what I would say is that we've certainly earned the right to be there. We've played some great footy against some really high quality opposition. But again, it's hard to prove something when you haven't been there for a couple of years, and that's just the lot we've been given right now. And the only way we are able to amend that is if we perform really well when it matters the most. And and when that opportunity comes, I know the guys are really ready for that.
Is it exciting to have that sort of doubt from people around the bubble, can you use that as some sort of motivation to prove people that actually we are a club that can compete in September?
No, we haven't used any of that as motivation for the whole year, so I don't know why we would start now using that. We've got some really internal things that we want to achieve. As I said, I think this has been a really steady build for us across the season. It's pre-season is about sort of trying to build a bit of hope and some confidence by reaching the right markers that you need to be able to reach to get yourselves in a good spot. They did that. We've gone through now a period of time where belief gets built. And belief can only get built by making the most of those moments, and we've been able to do that. So all it means is that we just put ourselves in a great position. We've qualified as best as we possibly can. We've put ourselves in a great position, but it guarantees nothing, and we understand that. And there's still plenty of work to get done.
How's everyone pulled up? A couple of boys, little knocks throughout the game, but nothing major.
No, we've got through with a clean bill of health, so we're obviously still expecting some guys to come back next week. So we expect Cleary to be fit to go, Burton will be ready to also play, and Butsy will come off obviously that suspension. So it's a nice problem to be sitting there next week and putting the magnets up on the whiteboard, and there's going to be some really tough conversations because the guys that have come in have done great jobs. Even Jared Leonard, who came in for Cleary, he's done that a number of times this year where he's come in, got a job done, played some really good football, and we've always said all along that when you're in good form, you get a look, and he's done a great job as the other boys have. So there's going to be some tough conversations.
Is there any realistic chance you don't bring all three of them in, Vossy, given they're all three stars, they're your top line players? No,
well, they're pretty important players to us and traditionally have, and they've been there and had some good presence for us, throughout the year. So, but that's what I mean. The benefit we've had from the start was there's always going to be that squad mentality. Now, as it turns out, we haven't had a huge injury list. We've had, guys that have been fit and available, and as a result of that, it does put pressure when you've got these guys that are underneath that are really sort of looking for their opportunities and also making the most of their opportunities. So, it's funny how performance drives performance sometimes, and the guys are certainly very hungry.
You touched on belief and hard work in pre-season and all the combination of factors that went into the success this year. Did you anticipate from last year to this year such an increase, such a jump, such success?
No, I've got to say I didn't. I think we all knew that this was the year that we needed to make sure that we got finals, and there was obviously a certain level of expectation on that. But I also think at the same time we never sat there and said that we were going to cap ourselves of anything that might be possible. And in some ways, with all the conversations we had over pre-season and with some of the circumstances that have unfolded throughout the year, there was a real opportunity for us to be able to put in place the language we'd been talking about, the way that we wanted to play, our approach and our positive approach we wanted to take on the season despite the really huge challenges that we were going to face. And the boys have just sort of taken it on and almost are now wearing it as a badge of honour, every little challenge that gets thrown at us. So we haven't focused too much on any of those things. We've just seen it as another challenge to overcome, and that's why this, being able to finish on top of the ladder, it won't mean much, in the next month, but it matters now because you reflect on those things of what we're able to overcome and the challenges we're able to obviously get through together.
When you play at all?
They're all live. I mean, we've said this before, even yesterday. The guys don't. They're playing in the team. They've all played very well, but no one gets exclusive rights. There's, Westy brings a flexibility to us, and he's a very popular teammate. So if he needs to come in and get a job done, then he'll do it. And as we've seen with the other boys, they've come and done exactly the same thing.
I know that you guys have been training to the conditions of the Gabba recently here. Do you think that was sort of any advantage last night? It looked awfully dewy out there.
I would just put all those little variables and those intangibles in there, and it's just one of those little 1%ers that you do to just make sure that you take the factor away. But again, we don't focus a hell of a lot on it. We feel like we've got a style that will stand up to enormous heat. And if the ball has to stay on the deck more, then we're more than comfortable in that space.
You play some big games at the Gabby yourself. Is there any sort of wisdom that you passed on to the boys, especially it might be one more game that you play this season?
Nah, not really, not venue. I mean, the venues start to become more irrelevant. The occasion is more the thing that takes on greater importance. Where you play, it's secondary because you're wrapped up on the occasion, and you want to play in those big moments. You know, there isn't a player that doesn't want to play in them.
So Thursday night it'll be at the Adelaide Oval. You probably have 25,000, maybe more. Not sure if you're across the details of all that.
No.
That was just announced now. So
yep.
I mean, in front of your home fans in a qualifying final, that must be an enormous boost for you guys.
Oh, it is, and you know, like we talk about the people that are inside, but the people on the outside as supporters are equally as important. And you know, the fact that they've actually stuck with us and supported us all the way through has been fantastic. So you know, to get a little reward there for our members and our fans to be able to play the first final on such a big occasion, it's going to be a great game, a real quality opposition, and you know, if we can make as much noise as we possibly can, it'd be absolutely brilliant.
You touched on the occasion gets bigger than the venue. So what do you tell players, someone with your experience? You've obviously got some premiership players alongside you in your coach's box. How invaluable is that experience, and what do you tell the guys about the cutthroat final?
The challenge, of course, with any finals, and I guess the first final's a little bit different because there's a second chance, but it's just about being in the moment. You know, we're not there to forecast when you're playing. It's about being able to just you know, stay in the moment, stay present with each other. I think it's been a real strength of us this year that we haven't thought too far ahead and we haven't looked too far back. And you know, if the boys have the same approach, then they'll do well.
Voss, not sure if you're across it, but on the Channel 7 coverage last night, there was just a little snippet right at the end when Kenny was addressing the boys post-game that they took the audio of before I think they realised their mistake. I don't suppose that's something that the club would like to see happen too often?
No, we'll follow it up, and I'm pretty sure we already have actually, because you know, we obviously some of the things that we face, we're more in those team rooms now, which is more the common area. And we have to have our meetings in that area because they're the rules we need to be able to abide by. So, you know, the privacy in certain moments, you know, we would like to think are followed quite strictly. So I'm sure we'll follow that up. You know, it was probably just a mistake on their behalf, but still we've got to understand that there's moments where obviously we are accessible and there's moments where we're not. And certainly in a team meeting environment, when we choose not to be, that's one of those ones which should stay confidential.